update, process, and approve.
Good evening, everyone. As you're coming into the space, could you please put yourself on mute?
Fast, slow, likely will go high.
Please put yourself on mute as you're entering this space. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome everyone. Okay, as you're coming into the space, on the right side where the chat is, please indicate your name and the area where you live. Your name and the area where you live. And please place yourselves on mute. Thank you.
What did you say?
I have a person who's trying to get on. Let's see. Okay. Good evening. Again, as you're coming in, please place yourself on mute. Thank you. Hi, Carolyn from View Park. Elisa from Baldwin Hills. Nice. Thank you for joining us. Dolores. Thank you. Please continue to type your name and where you're from and place yourself on mute. One thing I'm also going to ask is that if you were at the scene of the collision, could you please place the words "on scene" in the chat? Please place the words "on scene" in the chat. And that means whether you were there, if you were on the street, that means even if you heard a sound, if you were close enough to hear a sound, please type "on scene." Thank you. Again, as you're entering the space, please type your name as well as where you're from. I have someone who is still, please, hi Naima, could you please place yourself on mute? Thank you. Thank you. I'm still getting some feedback from somewhere, so hopefully we can find where that is coming from. Okay, again, please type your name and what area you're from. And if you were at the scene or near the scene, if you heard something or saw something when this happened, please type "on scene" next to your name. Thank you. Please type "on scene" next to your name if you heard something or if you saw something the day of the collision. And please type your name and where you're from. Thank you very much. Welcome, Jessica. Hello, Jasmine. Hello, Miss Cora. Thank you for joining us. Again, if you're just joining us, please place yourselves on mute. We're going to get started. Please keep yourselves on mute. In the chat, I'd like you to list your name as well as the area where you live and whether or not you were on scene. And on scene means if you heard something or if you saw something. Thank you. And for all others, please place yourselves on mute so that we don't get the feedback. The other thing I'd like to ask is that we all engage our cameras. This is a time for us to connect together, and we need to be able to see each other if we're going to do that. So I certainly can appreciate if that does not work for you. I would ask that maybe you dismiss yourself from the dialogue because we need to engage each other. So if you're able, please engage your camera. If for some reason your signal is wonky or your camera's not working, indicate that in the chat, please. But if you're able to engage, I'm going to ask that you engage your camera. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Please turn your cameras on. No problem. If you're having issues, we can be patient. I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I know we're going to continue to have people coming in. That's totally okay. I want to be respectful of your time. So I'm going to go ahead and get us started. It is awesome and wonderful to be here in this space with all of you this evening. You are all welcome. And I'm so glad to have you here so that we can begin the healing process in response to the horrific crash that happened on August the 4th that claimed the lives of 6 people. My name is Cheryl Epps. I'm sure you guys are probably tired of seeing my name on countless emails and messages, but it is so nice to be here with you. I want to tell you just a little bit about myself, and then you won't hear anything else about me tonight. This was advertised on different social media platforms, so a lot of you don't know me at all. I am 27 years retired from the Los Angeles Department of Children and Family Services, and I embarked on a second career path as a mediator, a facilitator, and a peace builder. I currently serve as a senior mediator with the Los Angeles City Attorney's Dispute Resolution Program, where I mediate complaints between LAPD and the community whenever a community member files a complaint. That is a free program, by the way, and we also do mediation for neighbors and merchants and everything in between. I work with the Institute of Nonviolence, and I've also developed and convened a Leaning In dialogue series about different race-related issues. Recently, I've been working on peace initiatives with Portland, Oregon, with Pasquotank County or Elizabeth City, North Carolina, as well as Ashland, Oregon, to improve relations between police and the community whenever there's been an issue of police shootings, gun violence, or community discord. I also currently serve as a member of Mediators Beyond Borders International, and I serve on a team that's currently developing curriculum with the Ukraine. We're working with Ukraine mediators to teach them how to engage in a trauma-informed manner with the refugees in the Ukraine, and the ones that are living in neighboring countries of Poland and Belarus. So I come to you with experience, but more importantly, more than anything, I'm a Leimert Park resident for the last 22 years. I was born and raised here in Los Angeles, raised in Baldwin Hills. So I love my community. And it is for that reason that I'm deciding and trying to come here and do this for our community so that we can all have the opportunity to begin the healing process. In this room are volunteer mediators from the Los Angeles City Attorney's Dispute Resolution Program. If you would please raise your hand so that we can acknowledge you. We have also Mediators Beyond Borders International. If you could please raise your hand. We have facilitators and mediators through Cal State Dominguez Hills, as well as Pepperdine University. Please raise your hand so that we can say hello. We also have several mental health professionals who have so graciously donated their time and services to be here for you, rearranged things to be here for you, all through the lens of cultural sensitivity. I'm so glad to have all of you here. I'm also delighted to acknowledge the organization who helped to assist me with executing this effort. This really started out as a conversation that I had with a good friend of mine who really helped us. We both tried to get this started, and I had to pick up from there, actually. And so I connected with Renata Valree and her organization, Peace and Education. And right now, Renata, if you could please come off mute and tell us a little bit about you and the awesome team that has supported this effort.
Yes, thank you all for being here and giving us the opportunity to be of service. My name is Renata Valree. I'm a professor at Cal State University, Dominguez Hills. I teach in the graduate studies program, negotiation, conflict resolution, and peace building. And for the past 2 years, my graduate students, many of whom are alum and some that are still current, they decided they wanted to serve the community. And so the students created and gave birth to Peace and Education, which is an initiative to be of service to the community, but the emphasis is on peace building, to bring people together, to create opportunities for conversation. We know that peace begins with civility. Civility begins with conversation. So our program is staffed by students. They provide all the services from facilitation to training to mediation, anything related to community. That's what the students do. Some of the projects we currently work on, we are working on the Compton Health Equities Project. We're looking at really trying to bring a hospital into the city of Compton. We are working with Black Women for Positive Change, which is a national organization. We'll be designing their youth summit. We just completed working with the California Youth Court We designed their youth summit, and we've hosted a series of community dialogues. But what I think is most important for you all to know, very much as Cheryl said, we're all here tonight, not because we had to be, because we wanted to be. And we do this work because it's hard work. Nobody's saying as a mediator, you're going to be rich, or as a facilitator, or as a mental health, professional. This work is done because you have the heart to do it. So from our hearts to yours, we are here to be in service this evening, and we look forward to the conversation. I want to acknowledge really quick Melissa Bancroft. She's an excellent facilitator, but tonight she's working the tech side for us. Melissa. Then we have Julie Alli, who is our program director. Julie somewhere. And I see Paradis. Paradis is our volunteer services coordinator. And I think we have some of our student facilitators online. So if you all could raise your hand, and I will turn it back over to Cheryl.
Awesome. Thank you, Renata. As I mentioned, we're together as a result of the collision that happened on August 4th. And I noticed that this all came about because I noticed that after this happened, there was an obvious gap in service to our community. There was nothing in response to address the mental health aspect of what our community was going through. But on other social platforms like Nextdoor, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere, I'm seeing comments about people who were struggling even after this happened. They wanted some sort of support, some sort of help. So that's what brought this effort together. It's a mental health healing event. It's not the event where we are going to discuss that investigation, or where we're going to discuss traffic procedures or public safety. All of those things are very, very important. And there's definitely a platform and a forum for that. As a matter of fact, I want to encourage all of you to attend whatever upcoming events that are happening in the community to address public works, public safety, traffic issues, and the like. Julie, before you put up the screenshot of the flyer advertising this event, I want to take a second to acknowledge also Captain James Harrell and his squad of firefighters from Station 58. They're the ones who actually were the first responders on the scene for the incident. There were other supporting first responders who were there. Captain Harrell, if you could just raise your hand, I'm going to get back to you in just a second. Thank you and your team, your squad, for being here. Just so you know, everyone, Captain Harrell and his team are actually still on duty, but they've made arrangements to be here with us for a short period of time because it was important enough for them to address the community. So Captain Harrell, thank you so much for taking time to come here, and I will circle back to you in just a second. Julie, if we can, please, are you able to screen share the flyer?
Can you see it okay?
Yep, I can see it just fine. So this is an event put on by Supervisor Holly Mitchell. This is the event that I would encourage you to attend so you can get some additional questions answered about public safety and what that means specifically for that intersection, which from what I understand and what I'm learning, has had a history of several traffic collisions in that intersection. That's also where you can possibly pose your questions to have your issues addressed about the incident itself, as well as to find out any updates that they have to offer. I'm saying that here, and everyone will be emailed this flyer by after this event so that you can make a point to attend. Saying all that to say, we're going to be focused on the heart, as Renata referenced. We're going to be focused on trying to unpack everything that's happened so that we can now move forward and start healing. And the way we're going to do that is through dialogue, being able to share your experiences with each other, as well as the areas where you're struggling. If you're not doing so well, someone in your space may be managing a little bit better, so they can offer encouragement. They can offer you what might be working for them, and so that we can all give each other support. Before we go into the next phase of our dialogue, I would like to introduce Pastor Donald Bell. Pastor Donald Bell Sr. is advanced educational and an educational and professional background in crisis response and trauma. By virtue of his profession and his comprehensive understanding of trauma, he has spent many years as a practitioner, counseling individuals, counseling groups and families through an array of life events. He's walked with countless individuals throughout their various stages of crisis, and I can personally attest to that. It's my privilege to introduce my pastor and friend, Pastor Donald Bell Sr., to deliver our opening prayer. Good evening, Donald.
Good evening. Let's pray. Our Father and our God, we just thank you for the privilege of coming before you in a format like this. Your word declares that if we seek wisdom, that you would not shame us for being in need of it. So this, Lord, is one of those occasions where we just come to seek your wisdom in all of its many forms. Bless this time, Lord, and we just thank you. Amen.
Thank you, Donald. Next, I would like to introduce Captain James Harrell and his squad. As I mentioned, they are still on duty, but they wanted to be here to support the community. So Captain Harrell, when you have a chance, could you please take yourself off mute and could you introduce us to who you have with you right now?
Yes, hello everyone. Captain Harrell, Fire Station 58 on Fairfax and Slauson. Here with Alexis, paramedic, as well as Matt. Well, we were, like you said, the first responders to arrive on scene. And I've been here for 15 years, so I feel like for sure this is our community. So just want to share that with you as well.
Thank you, Captain Harrell. Go ahead. Go ahead. Or did you want to say anything? If not, then I'm ready to jump right in.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Captain Harrell, this has been a struggle for all of us, for the entire community. Can you please comment about how this particular call affected the firefighters at Fire Station 58?
Well, I can say that it affected us all, without a doubt. This was a horrific incident, something that like this I haven't seen before, quite like this. It affected us all based off the fact that when we come to work every day, we have a plan, and that is to serve the community and meet those needs in the community. And our perfect day in the fire service is to be able to respond to an incident. And when we respond to that incident, okay, this happened, now we can mitigate and start the process of transporting patients or whatever the case may be to the hospital and start that recovery process there. This particular incident, and when we have incidents like this, they don't give us that opportunity to do that because lives were lost before we can even arrive. So it does affect you when that happens and occurs like that. So it's a process that we constantly are trying to move forward and go through the process of healing after an incident like that. So it does affect us in a big way, but we have a process of healing to move forward.
Thank you, Captain Harrell. I appreciate you sharing that with us. Can you possibly talk about, since you're saying that this is something that happened, you had casualties before you even arrived on the scene. Can you possibly talk a little bit about the process of how your firefighters manage their stress level in an incident like this?
Yes. Well, when we have an incident like this, our department has established a critical incident stress management program for us. So that whenever there's an incident quite like this, they're notified and they respond to the affected station at that point in time, so that when the incident has concluded, all those who were a part of the incident can be captured, brought to one location, and have a critical incident briefing. That is part of the process that we use. And underneath that critical incident stress management program, we have a mental health professional that's a part of that process. Along with, we have peer support team, which is firefighters that almost 200 firefighters that are part of this team to help support the firefighters when we go through a critical incident like this. Also, we have dogs as well that are used to help support the firefighters. If I can take you through really quick, because this is what I definitely wanted to share with the community on how the firefighters go through an incident like this and they process it. And not everyone feels the same. But for us, there is a process that we use so that we can start the process of healing. If I can quickly share that with the community.
Yes, please.
Yes, the process that we use, which is bringing everyone to one location, capturing everyone at one time. That first step is the process that the firefighters use to be able to communicate about what happened and how we felt, and if we need to go to the next step. And I can say we have 3 steps that we use. The second step is that once we go through the first process as a group, communicating, processing everything that we have just gone through, like this incident, which was very tragic. Once we process that together as a group, the second step is that peer support program allows us to reach out one-on-one. And we do that among ourselves. We have that peer support, which is very important and powerful because they've been through incidents like this before as well. So it helps us to be able to have someone that can understand how we feel and how they healed. So that is our next step, is to do that one-on-one process with our peers. And our final step is to understand that we need some additional support to be able to reach out to our mental health professional that can provide a guideline to support us as we move forward, because we're going to see different incidents again and again and again with the fire service and the fire department as a whole. So for us to understand and to reach out and let everyone know that we have a process that's how we deal with it in the fire service. And so I hope that helps.
It certainly does. Thank you, Captain Harrell. And if I just want to, if I may, I just want to make sure I understand the 3 steps. You're saying that you have a complete process that that all firefighters have to engage whenever there is a critical incident like this, where there are casualties or mass casualties, as was in this situation. You said that the first step is just getting together, bringing everyone together to process it as one unit, as one group. And the other thing you mentioned following that step is to have peer support, that it's necessary and important for each one of you to reach out to the other, to have some one-on-one connection to continue that processing part of getting through the crisis. And the third step you described as having understanding and recognizing the need to seek additional help. You're saying as firefighters, you routinely have to go through all 3 of those steps every time there's a situation like this. So we as a community, we're dealing with this one particular instance. As from your perspective, it sounds like you're saying you have to do that over and over and over again, which just highlights and underscores the degree of stress and how you have to constantly stay in management mode of that stress. Did that sound accurate? Did I capture that accurately, Captain Harrell?
Yes, you did. And the one thing that I can say is that there's nothing that's mandatory that we do. This is all voluntary, but that process is used in the fire service quite often. How we process that is to allow us to continue to move forward. And that's how I process it, to be able to know and recognize when an incident like this has occurred and it is difficult for you to deal with and to wrap your mind around. This is the process that we use to move forward. And not everyone, it's not mandatory. It's definitely voluntary, but the support is always there and it's right there ready for us as soon as the incident has concluded. And like you stated, I heard that in the community, there's a gap. There was a gap there. And that gap, I understand because, and I commend you for doing this at this point in time, because that gap is huge, because we get that support immediately. So I just wanted to share that with the community, how the fire department heals in that process. And I hope that someone in the community can take that back and say, hey, this is how we do it. And hopefully it can work for you.
Thank you. Thank you, Captain Harrell. That was very, very helpful, and I appreciate that. I know that you're all on duty and that you have to go. I have one final question. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the community or anything else that you'd like to address to the community?
Well, we just want to say, I want to just reach out to the community and say thank you for their support that they had for us, because they stopped by our fire station and lend a hand, bringing food and all of those things after this incident to share with us. And at the same time, they shared with us that they were going through the anxiety of this incident. So we just want to say we support you, and I'm glad that you have opened up this space for us to be able to share this with our community, and your vision and everyone that's involved. We appreciate that, and thank you for allowing us to be able to help as we all heal through this tragic tragedy.
Thank you, Captain Harrell, and thank you to the rest of your squad as well. We do recognize that you're on duty and that you are going to have to cut out whenever you feel comfortable, whenever you're ready. We want to say thank you. If we could all just give a wave, put up a heart, clap a hand, whatever, to acknowledge Squad 58. Thank you so much for your service and taking the time to come here to give support to the community is very, very appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that was impactful. So very shortly, our technical team is going to transition us into the breakout groups, and each group will have a mental health professional as well as a facilitator. Sorry, Renata.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we also have Captain Keith Harrison, and he's also with a fire department, I think Marina Del Rey. They were also on the scene, and so I just really would like to acknowledge him, and if you could just give him, if he wants a few minutes.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us, Captain. Whenever he is, can we find him?
Hello, how are you?
Hi, good evening. Good evening, Captain Harrison. How are you?
Good evening. I'm Keith Harrison. I'm a captain of Marina Del Rey Sheriff Station. I've been in the area since 2000. So I've been here quite a while. This is my home. I'm very good friends with Captain Harrell, both professionally and personally. That is my brother. So this is my community. This is my home. And just in regards to our personnel, we did respond with fire. We were on scene. I have a lot of young deputies, a lot of young personnel who had never experienced a situation like that before. And just for me, I did respond to the scene a little bit later just to check up on them because I knew they were new and their experience in patrol is they don't have a lot of experience in patrol, so they haven't experienced much. So I could tell personally that they were really, really shaken up by this. And I think one thing with law enforcement, people don't really think about us. You know, they do, but you know, I can just tell you that after the incident happened, I did speak with one of the community members during a community meeting, and they were, and I told them that, hey, you know, we did have some deputies there and they were a little shaken up and we got them some help. And the community member was like, oh yeah, you know what, you guys were there and you guys were impacted by this also. So sometimes we're not thought of because we are law enforcement. And I think one thing sometimes people don't realize is that we're on scene from beginning to the end. Like we don't leave at all. And we not only experience what occurred as a result of the traffic accident, but when family members respond to the scene, we're the ones that they contact. We're the ones who have to let the family members know what occurred that particular day. So for my personnel here, the very next day, I had our Psychological Services Bureau come out during our briefings and just speak with our personnel. And, you know, if you guys are familiar with law enforcement officers, just to let you know a little bit about us, sometimes we don't express our emotions and we kind of keep things inside, but I made it a point to offer those services to them and let them know that, you know, don't be afraid to talk about it. And we had some discussions during our briefings as well. And we also had a meeting or like a debriefing with the California Highway Patrol that particular Saturday as well. And we had some mental health professionals come out and just to talk to our personnel and have some one-on-one time with each and every one of them. So we take those measures very, very seriously because we are impacted by them. And like I said, there were a few deputies on scene that had never seen anything like that before. I've been around for 27 years. Not that I'm not affected by it, but it affected them a lot more. And for me, the first thing I did when I got home is I gave my daughter a hug. That's the first thing I did when I got home, is gave her a hug because there were children involved with this incident. And I know personally just how traumatic that is. So it was just important for our personnel to get as much help as they can. And I truly commend you guys for having this forum for the community as well, you know, a community that I love. So just personally speaking, I have family in LaBrea Park. And honestly, I usually take Stocker to LaBrea and I come down LaBrea to Slauson. And I have not taken that route like since this has occurred. I don't know, it's just like, I said, you know what, no, I'll keep going down Stocker and I'll take La Cienega. So it has affected me personally because I do get my gas right there at that Shell gas station. So, you know, I kind of see that quite often. I don't live far outside the community, so I'm here all the time, not just in a working capacity, but personally as well. So I just thank you for just having this forum for, you know, us to all come and talk about it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Captain Harrison. I appreciate that you sharing your sentiments and sharing that beyond the uniform, there's the heart, and beyond the uniform, you're affected by things just like the community is. And I thank you for even referencing the fact that sometimes because of the nature of what you do and that it's expected that you manage these types of incidents, they forget about you. And you have to manage all of those emotions and still continue to do your job. So I appreciate you mentioning that. I also appreciate you highlighting the fact that there is care and support for you, that there are mental health professionals that are ready and willing to respond immediately, similarly to what Captain Harrell was saying, to give you some time to debrief, to give you some time to process everything that's happened. And then you ended on a note that spoke to the humanity of it all, that you went home and hugged your daughter. Because at the end of it all, that's who we are on the inside. That's the piece of it that's going to allow us to unpack this and start to move forward with healing. So I appreciate you sharing your sentiments with us, Captain Harrison. I wish the best for you and your team, your deputies who may still be struggling to a greater extent. We wish the best for them as well. And peace to all of you. Thank you for taking the time to join us for this dialogue. Thank you. So as we prepare to transition into the small groups, what I'd like to do, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what you can expect. And as I was beginning to reference, you'll have a mental health professional in the room as well as a facilitator. who will help take you through a guided conversation. And in that guided conversation, we're going to talk about a couple of key points just to see how we're all managing. And so the mental health professionals are prepared in the event that things get pretty difficult, because you may be talking about some difficult things. Just know that you're going to be held. Just know that your hearts are being considered and that they will do the very best along with the facilitators to make sure you know that this is a safe space enough for sharing, for being transparent, for being open, for being vulnerable. That's how you will spend these next few minutes or next several minutes with the facilitators and with the mental health professionals. If you get to a point where you are emotional and need to step away, that's totally okay. You can either message the host in the chat or let someone know so that we can put you off into a side breakout room that we already have prepared. And that way a mental health professional will come right along with you and talk with you about what you're experiencing and help you self-regulate to get to the point where you can either rejoin the group, or if you need to excuse yourself, at which point we're going to send those resources with you when you leave. So just know that you will be held here and held well. The first thing that we do as practitioners is to do no harm, do no additional harm. You're here in a safe space, and we're here to protect the integrity of that space. So thank you in advance for being transparent and open, lending support to people in your group who might be struggling more than you, and receiving support from people who are in a better position or who are further along with processing this. In the chat, please, if you could, I'd like you to type a number from on a spectrum of 1 to 10, how you're showing up right now. So I'll say a 10 is, I'm ready to talk about this. I'm here. I'm ready to engage. I'm ready to be open. I'm ready to participate and talk. That would be a 10. All the way down to maybe about a 5. I'm here. I'm good. I may talk if I need to, but I'm here. All the way down to a 1, which is I'm just here. I don't know if I want to talk. I don't know if I want to participate, but I felt the need to show up. So I'm just here. Can't promise anything beyond that. If you could please, in the chat, type the number that indicates how you're showing up, just one number. And everyone, please type the numbers in. We're capturing this for a purpose, because in a minute, I want to show you what the climate is in the room. So please type a number that shows how you're showing up today. Thank you. I'm seeing some 8s. I see a 1. Thank you. I see a 3. There's some 4s and 7s. Thank you. A 10, ready to talk. Thank you, Miss McLeod. Thank you. 9s and 5s. Thank you. Please keep them coming. We'll do this for about another 20 seconds or so to give everyone a chance to type in a number. Again, on a spectrum of 1 to 10, where are you? How are you showing up? Are you showing up at a 10? Are you showing up at a 7? Are you showing up at a 2? This helps us, as well as the mental health professionals and facilitators, to know how they can proceed with holding space and what's going to be needed for each of you. This is the last thing, and then I promise you I'm going to close my mouth because I've been talking aplenty and I'm about to be quiet. Next, what I'd like to do is go over what I like to call community agreements. Thank you. You can continue to keep the numbers coming. So if we could share the screen, I'd like to go over our community agreements before we transition directly into the breakout rooms. That's kind of small. Can I have it a little bit bigger? If not, then I can, there you go. All right. So these are our community agreements. Keep yourself on mute when someone else is speaking. What's said here stays here, but what's learned here leaves here. Respect confidentiality and do not speak in a way that would allow others to be identified. So that means even if you're not saying someone's name, don't say the owner or the manager at the store, at the such and such store. Pass. There will be some questions posed to the group. You can pass. If you're not ready to respond, we will definitely circle back to you and give you another opportunity to answer that question before they move on to the next question. We will speak for ourselves using I statements. No one person represents a group or classification of people. No one, I'm a Black woman, I don't represent all Black women. No one man represents all men. No white person represents all white people, and so forth. Honor the time frames when responding. We are spending a limited amount of time together. So please, it's important that you give your point and allow other people in the space time to speak. If your facilitator raises their finger indicating that to start to wind it down, I'm going to ask that you finish your thought, but not your paragraph. Speak one at a time without interrupting. We'll listen to understand and speak to be understood. We'll check out our assumptions by asking questions. And this means if you hear something that someone else says, rather than assume what they meant, it's important that you raise a hand and say, you know what? Could you clarify that? Could you restate that? Or what did you mean by that? We'll express ourselves in ways that promote understanding, connection, and learning. And please, again, as I referenced before, use the chat feature if you feel you need to step away. If you need to step away, one of our mental health professionals will check in with you and check on you. Monitor your internal reactions. Respect what your body is telling you and make sure to take care of yourself. This last piece may be mentioned in the small groups, but be mindful of your self-care. Consider having someone to process with you after today's session. That could be whoever your person is, and find other techniques to help you self-regulate, like deep breathing or meditation, journaling, taking a walk, and so forth. I read a lot of community agreements. Those serve to help us engage each other. But I need to mention one other thing. I need to mention that sometimes people, as I mentioned before, this was promoted on Nextdoor, Facebook, Instagram, lots of other forms. Flyers were given out, word of mouth, even at the library. So word got out to everyone. But sometimes there are people on the that come on this platform that don't have the best of intentions. As this event was posted several places, someone may enter this space with negative intentions. This is not a place to try to solicit for new business. It's not a place to be disrespectful. And it's not a place where people can feel threatened or attacked in any way. Any disruptive, offensive, or otherwise ill-intentioned behavior isn't welcome or tolerated here, and it will result in immediate removal from this platform. This is a supportive and safe place. Violating these community agreements means that you are choosing not to participate in this process, and then we will honor that choice accordingly. Are there any questions about these agreements? Thank you for sharing that. If we're all in agreement, can I get a thumbs up from everyone? Awesome. With that, do we have a chance to, I'm going to do want to do our last just a breathing exercise really quick before we enter the space. So if all of you are sitting in a chair, if you're able, if you're not, I understand. If you could please be in a position where you can place your feet squarely on the floor. Squarely on the floor, put your hands on top of your lap, sitting straight up. What I'm going to ask you to do is breathe in for a count of 4. Breathe and hold it for a count of 2, and then exhale on a count of 4. And when you breathe in, suck in all the air you can until your belly is full. And as you're exhaling, push all of that air out until your stomach pushes towards your spine, which is a larger, farther trip for me. Okay, on my count, on a count of 4, breathe in, close your eyes. On 4, 1. Hold for 2 and out. One more time in. Okay, thank you, everyone. Let's get ready for dialogue. Are we possibly ready for our number cloud yet, or do we need a little more time?
I don't see Paradis. Let me slide over to the.
I'll be sharing it in just a moment.
We're ready.
1 second.
Awesome. Let's share the word cloud.
Just have to give me 1 second to make it bigger.
Thank you.
For those of us that can't see it. There you go.
So all of you put in your responses on a scale of 1 to 10. And I'd like to note that every place where you see the numbers very small, that reflects how many people feel strongly or not so strongly. What you can see is that everyone is pretty much showing up about a 7 or 8, which means that we're ready to dialogue. We have some 9s. We even have a 3. Someone was even ready at a 10. So I wanted to use this to show you that other people in your group, where we are in terms of how we're ready to show up for each other and move on to dialogue. Thank you for sharing that, Paradis. If there is nothing else, are our breakout rooms ready? Awesome. Okay. For the next almost 90 minutes, we'd like you to go into dialogue. If you have to leave beforehand, I want to thank you again for joining us. Please try to stay as long as you can and enjoy your dialogue. As the selections come up, if you click at scene or on scene, please don't join the group because we're putting you in a specific group. So everyone that referenced on scene, please don't accept the invitation to the breakout room. We want to place you in a separate room, in a separate group.
Actually, really quick add to that. Those who put on scene in the chat should already be assigned to an on scene room.
Okay.
If you have not been assigned to an on scene room, do not click join and we will move you. Rooms are open.
Thank you, Melissa. Enjoy the dialogue. Melissa?
Yeah, those who are here,
Hold on.
I think are just finding their way to their room. So if you need a little support, let us know.
I think we need a switch here. I'm going to type that to you, please.
Okay.
I don't see you. Oh, here you are. How's that? Miss Bailey, we still have to assign Miss Bailey and assign Lynn, who is a MH. Let me rename her.
Hi,
We're switching you now. Okay. Are we assigning Lynn to a room?
did I get to a room?
Yep,
Yep.
just 1 second, Lynn.
Just 1 second.
My phone keeps freezing and throwing me out, so I keep on rejoining.
Okay, maybe that's what happened. Give me 1 second. I'm just trying to locate.
If we need to pair her with another, if there's already a mental health professional in the room, just in case she drops out, so we still have coverage, we can do that too.
Okay,
Thank you, Lynn.
I'm trying to figure out how to get her there, because we don't have her on the list for breakouts. Like it's a back end thing. So just give me 1 second.
Okay. Hold on 1 second, Lynn, because I sent you the Zoom link from here.
Right.
And then we still need to assign Miss Bailey.
Okay.
Ms. Bailey, are you able to select a breakout room? Is an image coming up for you to accept a breakout room so that you can start the dialogue?
No, and I'm not seeing her on the breakout list.
Yes, she was the last one that I had. Are we able to place her? 1 second, Miss Bailey.
Doing
Here.
my best. 1 second.
It's okay. You're on mute, Miss Bailey. Just give us 1 second and we'll be right with you.
Yeah, it may take a couple minutes.
Okay.
The system's not acknowledging. So I've got to wait.
Julie,
Hold on, I'm gonna go off.
I was just texting you back. Yes, Rachel, I've texted her a copy of the questions. I didn't realize that we didn't have her down for a facilitator.
okay.
I can support her, or I can, Melissa was,
Welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. By show a thumbs up, how's everyone doing? We're up here, we're kind of here. Good. Thank all of you for staying and being engaged in your groups. I hope you were able to have very fruitful dialogue this evening. What I'd like to do before we do anything else, in your chat, please type one word. Now that you've gone through this experience in the small group, please type one word that describes how you're feeling about that experience. Just type one word. And we're going to do something similar as we did earlier with the number, only this time we're going to use a word. So type one word that describes how this experience was for you or how you're feeling. Either one of those will be okay. Just one word. Continue going. And while those words are continuing to come up, and I think you can probably type a couple if you want, but while those are coming up, I want to move forward to harvesting because I'm trying to be respectful of your time. I do recognize we're a couple of minutes over, and we're just about to wrap up here. So for harvesting, if we could start with group one, who was the facilitator for your group?
Is that me?
Was that you, Janet?
I think so. I think I was group one.
Yes, Janet.
Okay, so we had a wonderful discussion. We talked about how even if someone wasn't directly involved in this trauma, their past traumas have been brought up of previous car accidents or previous traumas. So this trauma has reignited and re-triggered some of those. And even on top of all of this, people are still dealing with their everyday things, illnesses and things. So it's been a lot, and people are having trouble sleeping, having trouble breathing, anxious, not going through that intersection, sometimes just staying home completely at all because they just can't leave the house. So it's been very helpful for them to see that other people are going through the same thing, even just on Nextdoor. They're very grateful to have this opportunity to come together and see that other people are experiencing the same kinds of things, seeing the empathy in the room, seeing the compassion of everyone else, seeing how everyone else is dealing with this and being offered some ways to cope. Some people run or walk their dog or pet their animal, music, yoga, meditation, participating in things like this. We talked about Amanda Gorman's poem on
And we're gonna have to go be brief, but go ahead, Janet, but we're gonna need to wind it down so we can get to the other groups.
Okay, so we talked a lot about self-care and music and how that can all help us. So
Awesome. Thank you, Janet. Thank you for sharing that. Awesome. Group two, who was your facilitator?
Shafin.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Yes.
'Cause I didn't know what group I was in.
Yourself on mute.
I didn't know what group I was in, so thank you for naming that. Okay, great. So so there was again, thank you all for being open and honest and sharing so vulnerably in that room with me and with all of us. So lots of themes of faith. There was shared grief and pain, and even a comment that you're here today, gone today. So the whole acknowledgement of the fragility of life and the acknowledgement that they are not alone in this feeling of how they're feeling. Coping, we talked about vitamins, prayer, again, faith, connecting with people, working out, walking, journaling was also came up. resiliency. We talked a little bit about reframing and learning from the moment, which was powerful. And then seeing the community come together was also that shared empathy. It was powerful to see that there's people that we've never met before, yet we're here coming together. And there's also the, I want to acknowledge Dr. Shante mentioned telling the story or retelling the story. We have the power to retell the story of ourselves, so of what happened. And that's it. I want to just be acknowledge the time. So that's about it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Shafin. I appreciate you sharing. Let's go on to group 3. So far, what I'm hearing is just a lot about knowing that other people are struggling with you, and just the theme of overall supporting each other and knowing that you're not alone. So thank you for offering that. Group 3, who was your facilitator?
So Cheryl, you want to go to the firefighters, so you want to go to room 4.
Oh, the firefighters are still here?
Yeah, I still see them on the screen.
Okay, yes, let's go to firefighters and then we will cut to the next group.
Okay, that's me.
right.
So for us, it was, we all shared just an honor, what an honor it is to be sharing the space with each other, to be sharing so much honesty with each other. And I think that, wanting to respect our group was small and our confidentiality. The big thing was the community, that you're seen as a strong, good community, and that together is your power and your hope and your way forward. And the importance of seeing each other, seeing the first responders, being seen amongst each other, just the power of that.
Thank you. Thank you, Kim. So again, the same continuity of feeling heard and feeling seen and being supportive and being together, unity and sense of community. Thank you for that. Our next group, group 4?
Group 3.
Group 3. Dr. Norma, who was your facilitator, or if you can go?
No, Kathy was my facilitator.
Oh, Kathy.
I'm happy to let her do this.
Kathy, where are you?
Here I am.
There you go, Kathy.
So we were a small group as well, but and so I respect the confidentiality, but we talked a lot about grief, loss, and knowing and recognizing grief and the importance, and that it's okay to spend time with self, to spend time alone, as part of the self-care, and just being aware that you're grieving, and to start the process of remembering and moving on, and that it's, again, back to grief, it's important to grieve, and you have to go through the grief and do the work to come out on the other side, spiritually, mentally, and physically. The other thing that was brought up is the physical effects of being present and witnessing and experiencing something so traumatic, and being there, and what happened, and being on one hand just so grateful that you were in the right place, if there was a right place, but also acknowledging, skipping a little bit, but acknowledging avoidance, where you don't want to do the same things. You don't go to that gas station for now, which was a favorite place, so again, having the courage to be in the present and acknowledge the grief, and doing the work and going through the process and sitting in the pain and being able to come through to the other side. That was a big thing.
Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate you sharing that. Let's see. What group do we have next? That was 4. Are we up to 5 now? Or is this 4? 5. Group 5, who was your facilitator?
Were we group 5 or no?
Let's see.
We were 9, Rachel.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, group 5, do we have a facilitator assigned for group 5? Lania, was that your group?
No, group 5 was a support room, so our
Okay.
next group would be 9.
Group 9. All right, who was the
okay.
facilitator for group 9?
Group
Are you
9.
Rachel?
Yes, yeah. So we
Okay.
had the common theme far as avoidance of the scene. A lot of people daily schedules was disrupted because of the tragedy, and then just trying to get back into some sense of normalcy. And actually, the professionals tonight, Dr. Darrow and Dr. Shalana, they really helped the group process how grieving and feeling different feelings is normal, like anxious, being anxious, having anxiety, and allowing grace, because I know having grace to say, it's okay being in the moment and healing, and the community defined what they meant by resilience and just being present in the moment, showing up. That takes a lot of courage to do that. And so just overall, the experiences that were shared with the other groups is similar. It's so similar to what was shared in our group. And then just even the very thoughtfulness of having this community support tonight. I think that's what we left off with, of gratitude. I think that our group was very thankful. Thank you.
It's an awesome word. Thank you, Rachel. Was that our last group, or do we have another remaining? That was the last group? Awesome. So thank you for all of the facilitators. Thank you for all of the mental health professionals. Based on what was shared in our harvesting, I heard words like that you were addressing grief. Some of the things that helped you cope were relying on your faith, that your feelings are normal. Everyone talked about the sense of community, having community support and self-care. So here's our word board that reflects some of the words that were shared in the chat. As you can see, the word gratitude's a little bit larger, communities a little bit larger, feeling comforted, feeling settled, relief, excellent, refreshed, and lifted. Those are all words that reflect how we're all preparing to lead this dialogue. And my hope was that it was very fruitful for all of you. And we have a digital packet of resources for all of you. We were trying to attach it in the chat, but I don't know whether or not, I don't think we were able to attach it there. Could we really quickly, Julie, are we able just to pull it up and scroll through it quickly so we can give them a sneak peek at what's coming?
I can do that. It might be a little large on the screen, but I can try. Hold on just a moment.
Okay, no problem. So in the meantime, I have been asked, one of the questions is whether or not we're going to have follow-up sessions, or whether or not we're going to be doing this again. Did you find that this is helpful, and would future dialogues be helpful in this regard? If so, then just place a thumbs up, or you can type it in the chat, whatever, however you feel about that, and we will follow up accordingly. Again, my ultimate goal was for all of you to feel supported, to feel heard, encouraged, as well as encouraging each other. Please note, where'd it go?
I'll let you finish talking and I'll put it up at the end. I didn't interrupt you, sorry.
No problem at all. So I hope that all of you receive some tangible strategies for self-care, for self-regulating, and getting yourself back to a place of normal, recognizing also that every bit of what you've experienced is normal after going through an incident like this. So if you have friends, reach out to each other, rely on each other, be there for each other, and support each other. Like Captain Harrison was saying, appeal to the heart. This is, you have to remember that there is the humanity in all of us, that we all need each other. We have to connect. And this is a way to do that. So we spent a very brief amount of time here, but it was a very fruitful amount of time. I just want to give a last minute thanks again to the amazing Peace and Education team that helped pull this off. I really, really appreciate your support and the way that you came in the 9th hour and really pulled this together, to Renata and her team. Thank you to all of our mental health professionals again for lending your expertise, for showing up for the community and embracing them in such a loving and caring way. Thank you to all of our facilitators who brought your skill and abilities to hold the space and make it safe for all of the participants. I just thank all of you. I thank you for being willing to come out. to be vulnerable, to be open. And I encourage you to continue that beyond this platform, whether that means seeking additional therapy, whether it means, you know, going and hugging your kids, or whether it means journaling about what you've experienced. Please follow up and do that. Thank you again. Pastor Bell, the way that you prayed us in, I would like it, please, if you would pray us out. But before you do that, just want to touch bases. Renata, was there anything that you wanted to add?
I just want to say for everyone who went through today's conversation, just to commend you for your bravery, for your courage, for the strength it took to be here, to be present, and to say, you know, we're just so happy that we could be here to support you. And if you all decide there's a follow-up session, Cheryl will let us know and we will be here. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We're 18 minutes past. I want to thank you for the grace and giving us those 18 minutes. Pastor Bell, if it's all the same to you, would you please pray us out? You're on mute. You're on mute. So any final words that you would like to offer before you pray us out, please?
I'll be very brief. One of the big issues that came up was the issue of faith. And one of the things I want to say about that is when something like this happens, there's the God we had prior to that. And then there's the God we have to discover after that. And what I mean by that is God puts us in a position where we have to come to terms with our humanity. And we talked about the fragility of all this. A big part of discovering grace isn't just finding it in God, but it's finding it in yourself and recognizing, as much as we may talk, we're never going to be able to put this in a context that makes full sense. But you can still live and you can still move forward and life can still be productive, even with that element of stuff being unresolved. So that's all I wanted to share. Closing prayer?
Yes, please.
Again, Lord, we started this off asking you for wisdom. And so we end by asking you for grace to complement the wisdom we've gained from sharing. Bless all those who are still struggling and still got stuff they need to figure out. Bless them with all the comfort and care they stand in need of. Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening. And those of you that for the facilitators in mental health, if you would please just hang back a little while. Miss Cora from the Los Angeles Sentinel, please let us know whether or not you would like any follow-up so that we can make arrangements for that. For the rest of you, have a great rest of your evening and be safe. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Bye, Cheryl.
Bye-bye. Bye, Mom. Get off.